My name is Folsom. I'm an anthropologist. I lecture at USC. I do a lot of culture development work all around the world, and I also work with veterans. And the work that I'm doing with veterans and men in many ways is about reclaiming meaning and purpose. And so behind us we can see there's a lot of people who are living that. And this is one of the big themes at the Convergence with Sacred Sons, is that we have to find a way to integrate our service into meaning and looking at how do we take this knowledge back to the people who couldn't be here. And so I use a lot of mythology in my work, and all the knights that want the Holy Grail because of their own personal glory are denied that sacred thing, because you have to want the Grail for what it is and ask yourself the question, who does the Grail serve? And it's not us. The Grail that serves you. That's why we're here, so that we can gather the knowledge and the healing and take it back for the rest of the people who didn't get to do this. So that's how we get the Holy Grail. That's the elixir that heals our kingdom, and our kingdom is in desperate need of healing at this point. We're suffering epidemic levels of clinical anxiety and depression and even suicide, and this is stemming from isolation. We need to start rebuilding our communities, rebuilding our tribes, and that means finding some sacred, meaningful, and purpose-driven lines that go through our life. Stoics divide life into three categories. There's the role that I play for myself, my self-care, my nutrition, and then there's the role that I play for my community, and that's service, being a father, being a son. And then there's a third category of priorities, and that is my larger purpose that I play in the world. And that's the big game hunting of meaning that is the Holy Grail of most people's careers. And so when we are looking at how to prioritize who to be and how to do that, do I focus on myself, do I focus on my others, or do I focus on my larger purpose? And the Stoics are providing us with the answer that we always focus on purpose first. And purpose is a challenging thing to discover because it's not something you can simply look up. It doesn't come from a college degree. Purpose is only found after the pursuit of passions. And so passion is the scent trail that's left by purpose. And if we follow enough of those scent trails, we come around the corner and there's that big monster of purpose. That if we have built our tribe, if we have support and accountability of other men, and if we've kept ourselves on fire, then we have the chance to ignite that big log of purpose, which is incredible fulfillment. But before we get that, we have to make sure that we're, again, taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of our communities. The two primary foundational things in building tribes are recognizing that we are pack animals at our core. We need to be able to rebuild common vision, which is really, again, that big purpose thing that defines what are we here for, and more importantly, why. And so if that's a company, get some clarity about what your value is. What are you providing? If it's a community, make sure that it is aligned around us being collaborative and moving towards something together. And the second big piece on how to build a tribe or retool your family, community, or job is to find common values. And values are the way that we make decisions. And one of the workshops that I ran was about values clarification, and that when we are making decisions, the root of the word decide is CIDE, which is the same root as suicide and homicide. We're literally killing off other options every time that we make a decision. So as men who have a certain aspect of divinity in us and we are making decisions and killing off things, how do we do that? And we do that through our values. The value that is the strongest in our hand is the one that wins. And that's why it's so important to spend some time in reflection and to be able to find out what our values are. So, common values that are shared by people, a common vision that is shared by a collection of people, that creates kinship. And kinship systems are the things that will heal our world, because kin is the root of the word kind. And if we want more kindness out of life, we need more kin. So, common vision, common values. Number one cause of early death of men over the age of 40 is loneliness. And you ask yourself, well, loneliness doesn't kill people. Isolation does. And when you take a pack animal and isolate them, Even though you may not be thinking that you're at risk, the reality is that the animal in you knows that you're in trouble if you're isolated, and so it starts releasing a lot of stress hormones, which are designed for us to be able to navigate and survive a short-term stressful situation. When that stressful situation stretches out over days, weeks, months, years of chronic toxic stress, that means that that excess cortisol level and norepinephrine and adrenaline, which are stress hormones that allow us to be hypervigilant and hyper-focused survival tools, when those are constant and chronic, it creates this massive inflammation. Inflammation is the cause of diabetes, cancer, heart disease, most of the diseases that are killing us at a remarkably early rate. And as an anthropologist, I've gotten to study with the Maasai and other cultures that are tribal at their core and kinship based. And there is almost no diabetes, almost no heart disease, very little cancer, very little clinical anxiety or depression in these tribal systems. So what kills primitive people? And they're not really primitive, but that's kind of the word we use. Tooth decay and parasites. And we got those licked. So if we can handle our community, then we've got a good shot at having a true renaissance as a society. After studying humans for a long period of time, I believe that there are certain eras of our history that include great men. The Greeks had a collection of great men. Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. We still think about them as they're existing now. We don't think they were philosophers. They are philosophers. It's one of the mark of a great man. And they were great because they were holistically successful. They were physically healthy. They were communicatively active. They were philosophically exalted. They were warriors, but they were also great thinkers. And they balanced that holistically. We saw the same thing happen several hundred years later in Rome. We saw it happen in the Enlightenment. We saw it happen with the founding fathers of America. And these were men who not only wrote the Constitution, but they also engineered their house. They learned how to duel. They could speak 4 languages. This was an era of great men. I think we're edging into another era of great men. And when I look at some of the young men who are in the 100-plus strong circle of men here, these are the most remarkably well-read, ambitious, heartfelt young men that I've seen in a long time. And the future is hopeful for our communities. I use Joseph Campbell a lot. Joseph Campbell says, "The cave you fear to enter contains the treasure you seek." At some point we have to do the shadow work. The shadow is the things that oftentimes we feel shame about, but it's really going to be the primary source of all of our gold, our brand, our success, our differentiation in the world of business. So it's time to go into that cave we fear to enter, and don't just go in. Stay a while. Build a fire, put some art on the walls. There's nothing in the cave scary except for us anyway. And that's where all the gold is. The time of the lone wolf is over.